It is the Thursday, the 26th of February 2026. You're welcome to Uganda Catholic Television. My name is Joseph Kabale. I'm bringing you the Thursday edition of Uctv News. Now to start with, the Supreme Court of Uganda has granted a withdrawal of a presidential election petition filed by the former National Peasants Party presidential candidate Robert Kasibante, who had challenged the re-election of the President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni in the recently concluded general elections. In a joint ruling delivered by Justice Muzamiru Mutangula Chibedi on behalf of the Chief Justice and 7 others, the court formally allowed the withdrawal application and ordered that each party bears its legal costs. The declaration of the ruling National Resistance Movement presidential candidate Yoweri Kaguta Museveni as the winner of the 2026 presidential elections by the Electoral Commission on January 17th was met with resistance and subsequent rejection by several opposition contenders. They argued that the announced results did not in any way reflect the genuine will of the voters, but were instead manufactured by the Electoral Commission.
Therefore, we reject the results because they do not represent the will of the people as expressed through the polls on the 15th.
However, while the opposition rejected the results, it was only Robert Kasibante of the National Peasants Party who took the matter to court, dragging the Electoral Commission, the Attorney General, and the President of the Supreme Court. He accused the trio of fraudulently disenfranchising Ugandan voters by presiding over what he termed as a sham election and subsequently declaring Yoweri Kaguta Museveni as the winner. Meanwhile, before the Supreme Court, the only court with jurisdiction to handle presidential election petitions, had barely commenced hearing the case. The petitioner, Robert Kasibante, expressed his intention to withdraw the petition, citing financial constraints to sustain the court proceedings. Subsequently, today, the Supreme Court, in a ruling delivered by Justice Muzamiru Mutangula Chibedi, on behalf of the Chief Justice, Dr. Flavian Zaija, and 7 other justices on the panel, granted the withdrawal of the petition on grounds that the respondents, who include the President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the Attorney General, and the Electoral Commission, had raised no objection.
By unanimous decision of the court, and presidential election application number 1 of 2026 are hereby dismissed on account of withdrawal.
The Supreme Court further directed that each party bears its own costs, a decision Justice Mutangula said was intended to facilitate a healing process for not only the parties involved, but for the whole nation.
By majority decision, Madrama, Justice of the Supreme Court, dissenting, each party shall bear its costs of the petition and the application arising from including the current application. It is so ordered.
In an exclusive interview with the petitioner, Robert Kasibante welcomed the court's decision to allow the withdrawal of the petition without imposing costs on him, noting that he and his legal team are financially constrained, which largely informed the decision to withdraw the case.
Supreme Court of Uganda for the good judgment, and also they got to know that we are peasants because we don't have money. How can you pay the costs which the other respondent was asking? They are the people in power, so they wanted us to give them money. So I want to appreciate court for that, for the good ruling, and I want to assure Ugandans that me as Kasibante and the National Peasant Party, it is not the end.
The Supreme Court panel, comprising of Chief Justice Dr. Flavian Zaija and Justices Catherine Bamugemeraire, Monica Kariejira, Pasenaitu Haisi, Mike Chibita, Elizabeth Musoke, Stephen Musota, and Muzamiru Chibedi, has effectively cleared the way for President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, whom the Electoral Commission says garnered over 70% of the vote, to be sworn in this coming May for his 7th term in office, extending his presidency until 2031. In other news, street vendors and hawkers have appealed to the Kampala Capital City Authority, that is KCCA, to fast-track the gazetting of specific streets and roads for Sunday and evening markets, saying they remain without alternative workspaces days after being evicted from the city streets. Speaking to Uganda Catholic Television, several vendors have said 5 days after the enforcement operation, no clear relocation arrangements had been made. And now Chizito Kenneth, the chairperson of City Hawkers in Kampala, notes that although KCCA directed them to move to government markets, many of the facilities are already fully occupied.
What we want to do is to see how to engage the president, the General Sale, to intervene in this case. Because you cannot leave these people, 35 people, without working. They are idle, which means we are implementing these people or idle people in town. See, we want everyone to be working. And we have seen that these are the people who are daily breadwinners. Let's fight for them. They are fighting for the survival. Let's stand with them in order that they get their justice. Because what we are looking in this case, they call it justice, fairness. We haven't seen fairness in this case. President Museveni, where are you? We need to see your office acting on vendors and hawkers, because we are also people who have responsibility. We are also people who have children at home, rents, and even other facilitations. We need facilitation from the government. Up to now, we are still looking for the way forward, how we can get in touch with our Sunday market, because we know that that Sunday market can cool the situation. As per now, you cannot chase someone without any option. So let's provide the Sunday market, let's provide the evening market and other resources which are easy, like ham building. We have heard that ham have took that place, which we know that long time ago it was for vendors and hawkers. So we apply also the upper level. After we put our vendors up, I think that thing will come. When we are planning to settle this case, we have to see that others they have gone in the markets, these left ones, let them occupy the Sunday market and the evening market.
As we readers, we are seeing for sure it has taken long for preparing for us, because we are seeing now our colleagues, they have been taken to prison. We are seeing drones rotating around, whether you are working or not, of which we are seeing that that is not injustice as we are dealing with governments, which brings back towards our chaos back, which will cause the chaos in the Kampala capital store. So our solution is to see now our solution as we readers, we are talking to Minister of Kampala to come with a area solution or emergency solution, such that this situation ends of taking our colleagues to prison.
Kirungi abatembe baffe ffenna tukyali wamu, tukyayogeza eddoboozi limu, era bwe kinaatuuka nti naffe tulemereddwa, pulaani B egenda kuba yakweyiwa ku makubo kweyambula, tubagambe mulete n'abaana bamwe abatandala ku masomero bonna tuboolekezebwa ku minisita ya pulezidenti kuba tumanyi weeri. Maama Nabbanja atuula awo, ne bwe yalagira twalowooza waliwo enteekateeka ezimiitinga abantu bano okubateekerateekera, kuba ffe kye bayita okuteekateeka okukwata kusiba, eyo si ye solution. Twagala enteekateeka ezembagirawo, tugambe nti nno kale mwe abafisse mujje nga mu Sunday market, kubanga yayisibwa ng'October 27th Sunday market yayisibwa, then ne tumanye nti n'essaawa y'akawungeezi bagenda kubeeramu n'essaawa. Olwo lwonna tuli kusala ntota abantu baffe we banaakolera. Essaawa ya leero tusobola gamba munnayuganda tuula waka, nga buli omu akimanyi obwavu bungi, ate ffe tetwaliwo kugwira kusabiriza. Naye nga bwe tukimanyi nti Uganda yaffe terina mirimu, tuyambize tukwasizeko abaana bano basobole okulaba nga bakola, kubanga essaawa ya leero obanga abasindiikiriza mu mirimu gye baavaamu, abasinga obungi mbatembeyi mukama wange baali banyakula mikuufu, baali ku mwalo okwo, naye ne tuboogereza nga osobola osuubula limooti, osobola osuubula obusaati, osobola obutambaala oteeke wano. Kati abantu abo bonna gavumenti oba tofuddeyo kubateekateeka obakozese, kubanga beebo bagenda okufuukira ekizibu enkya.
Well, complying to lawful orders is much more important, but also addressing grievances of such people is also important. Now, continuing in our UCTV news, the Conservative Party has launched a Red Book initiative aimed at documenting alleged human rights abuses and atrocities committed against citizens, with plans to seek accountability at the International Criminal Court. The party's former presidential candidate, Elton Joseph Mabilizi, told the journalists that the initiative is intended to gather evidence of alleged extrajudicial killings, forced disappearances, and torture particularly involving opposition supporters and political activists. Mabilizi also called on Ugandans with credible evidence of such violations to come forward and register their cases, saying the documentation process is designed to support efforts to pursue justice through international legal channels.
Ekyo tukola ekiro n'emisana kyekyatuteekesezaayo ne offisi ez'enjawulo mu buli regioni yonna tubeereyo ne offisi. Manyi tezijja kukoma ku regioni yokka, naye tujja kubaayo n'endala mu ntonotono mu disitulikiti ezeeyawudde ennyo okulaba nga tukuŋŋaanya obujulizi obwo bwonna. So tukkiriza nti mu myezi 6 tujja kuba ne we tutuuse lwa nsonga emu ti kino tetukitandise lwa leero, era bwe twali tutambuza ekisinde ekyo ekya munnansi twayogera ku kitabo kino nti kijja mu kisinde ekyo. So kati tuzze tukuŋŋaanya obujulizi buno n'ebintu byonna okumalira ddala emyaka 4. So tukkiriza ni mu myezi 6 tujja kubaako we tutuuse. Abantu abali nga badduka bali mu buwaŋŋanguse olw'obulamu bwabwe n'abalala oba baagenda bugenzi naye nga balina obujulizi, ekyo twakirowozezzaako era omukutu ne gugulibwawo. Abakugu baffe batugambye ekibadde kikyabulako ku software omu nti olwayo terusukka nga tekinnamalirizibwa, nabo engeri gye bagenda okwetaba mu kuŋŋaanya obujulizi buno.
Once again, we thank you so much for watching Uganda Catholic Television, and you're still watching UCTV News, where we are bringing to you Today in History. Well, that brings us to the end of our newscast tonight. We thank you so much for joining us and for staying with us since we began. My name is Joseph Kabala. I worked with a team of diligent professionals behind the scene, and we wish you the very best of the night. Please keep it Uganda Catholic Television.